These poor astronomers.
Well, it goes back about 1,600 million years after the extinction.
1,600 million
So
years.
we think we get a much, much closer.
So this guy, this is a well-known astronomer. Well, we think, with the Hubble, they can't see back in time far enough closer to the Big Bang. But what he's saying is, what we believe is that within 16, they get within 16 million years of the Big Bang, that we should start seeing some of the first objects form. Because we went through many phases where matter wasn't possible for matter to form. It was too energetic and too hot. So they're thinking that, within 16 million years of the Big Bang, we're thinking that some of these first objects will be forming. And for me, that means some of these gigantic suns. Yeah, the theory is that originally it was such a, it was very thin. And it was very thin. It wasn't like these super dense clouds of hydrogen. Okay? It wasn't. It's very thin. I thought I saw one figure that said there was 1 molecule per square meter. Okay? So I believe now that was wrong. They supposedly all these giant suns would have formed first, and then the bigger the sun, the shorter the life, and so these things were being turned, these supernovas, and that made and created all of the heavier elements needed to form the first objects. Okay, not just suns, but planets, asteroids, moons, whatever. Well, then they turn the fucking Webb on, and here's perfectly formed galaxies at that time. And so now they're all like, oh shit, we have a lot of work to do. This is an old show. When I turned it on, it's an old NASA show before they launched the James Webb, making all of these predictions that now Webb has just wiped clean. Okay? At the time when this guy is saying he expects to see the first objects forming, there are complete galaxies. Okay? Suns, solar systems, yeah. Completely destroyed it. Are we going to have to build another telescope? I don't know. I've seen some pretty interesting ideas about reflectors being erected inside craters of the moon, which for me seems ridiculous. We're much better off having an inflatable telescope out there. There were, 1,100 single point failure design functions in the Webb. I sat here like this the whole time that everything's unfolding, and the sun shield's unfolding, and all of these single point failures as they were going by, clicking by one at a time. I'm just chewing on my nails, man, because I was waiting for decades for this telescope to be launched. And because I knew that it was going to do exactly what it did. It was going to tell us, you don't know what you think you know. You only thought you knew it. Okay? So, very interesting. Will the next telescope be? Well, it's probably going to be an inflatable telescope, like a sheet that inflates, like some of the habitats they're building, maybe. Okay, so that you can't have. I don't believe designing a more complicated telescope is a good idea. I think we got lucky with the James Webb. That's what I think. I think that we got lucky, okay? That as those single point failures ticked by, you could even see that you could cut the tension with a knife, okay? And Where when you have all these people sitting at all these computers, you could see the wide-eyed terror they had. Okay, here comes our next event. Here comes our next event. And I think it just wore them out. They all looked like they hadn't slept in 3 days. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think the next one is going to be an inflatable telescope, something that's going to inflate rather than assemble, rather than assemble itself with all these single point failures. I think it'll be something more of an inflatable type design. Okay. So I guess we'll see. But I don't know. The James Webb just told us we need better instrumentation. That's what it told us, because our ideas about when the first objects were going to form and what they were going to look like turns out to be wrong so far. So I guess we'll see. We shall see. It's kind of nice. It's kind of cool seeing these early television shows by NASA before James Webb went up. This was like what I'm watching looks like it could be a couple of years before, easy a couple of years before, because they were talking about the future Webb, and they had pictures of the mirrors. But they were talking about the future, and man, yeah, that was a harrowing experience. It really was. I don't want to have to go through that again. And I'm hoping that they can get that next unit up there before I die. Okay? I really do. I know I don't look 71 years old, but humans have a certain life expectancy, and I don't consider myself special when it comes to that. Okay? Maybe it's all the radiation I received. I don't know. Yeah, that was a harrowing experience, man. I just sitting here just chewing my nails, you know what I mean? And I know everyone else was too, that cared about the web and what it was going to tell us and how much it was going to show us we didn't know. But there's a lot of designs on paper. We'll just have to see who wins out. And God, can NASA even survive after screwing up its space program so badly? When you look inside of the SpaceX, when you look at the inside of their capsule, everything is simple and clean and it looks 2000. It doesn't look 1960. It looks 2020. It doesn't look 1968. And NASA's capsule does. It looks bad. It's cluttered, gauges everywhere, switches everywhere. Yeah, it looks. NASA has a way of doing things, and I believe it's outmoded. They're afraid to fail because because of their funding, the way the funding comes to them. Whereas, like the Russians, SpaceX was, let's build, fail, correct, build, fail, correct, build, fail, correct, build, succeed, improve, build, succeed, improve. And now you see that, they're landing these boosters and shit 9-10 times, you know what I mean? And NASA's had one flight of their big carrier, their big heavy lifter. I don't know. I guess we'll see on that also what the future of NASA is going to be. They haven't been doing, as far as I'm concerned, they haven't been doing a very good job for the taxpayer. I think they only survive because of the military entanglements that they have. Some of the data that they're privy to has kept them alive. Okay? If NASA collapsed tomorrow as an entity, that information would get out. That, oh yeah, we've taken pictures of UFOs next to the, space shuttle, flying right next to the space shuttle, that kind of thing. I think that information would get out, and they don't want to do that, which is why they can waste, $50 billion and still not have a plan for refueling to get to the moon? There, I'm seeing now that it could take as many as 20 refueling flights, okay, for Artemis. 20. No, that's just not going to cut it, is it? So, okay, so much for my nostalgia talk this morning.